Hello and welcome to How Would You Rate Your Pain? We will be exploring life, loss, love, and the power of resilience. I am Dr. Tiffany Bartell. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to go on this journey with you. Hello and welcome to another episode of How Would You Rate Your Pain? I am here with my new friend, Sydney, from Be the Change Youth Initiative. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to hear a bit about the work that you do. We just met in person at a local men's mental health event that was coordinated between you and some of the other organizations, and then also a podcast veteran of How Would You Rate Your Pain, Brandon Clift. You'll remember him from some of the clips. So, Sydney, tell me a little bit about what your organization is and how you started this amazing movement that you're doing.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So Be the Change Youth Initiative is a nonprofit focused on youth empowerment and mental health advocacy. We try to bring creatives, youth, nonprofits, and small businesses together to further the message of mental health and youth empowerment, and really focusing on giving them opportunities to use their gifts and talents to create a change in the world. How it all came about was back in 2016. I was 15 and wanted to fundraise for an organization for my birthday. So growing up,
I love that.
Yeah, growing up, my parents had always encouraged me and my siblings to, instead of having typical birthday parties, they'd be like, let's do give backs. And so we'd have it at animal shelters or the Ronald McDonald House, different organizations like that. Wow. And so 15 is a big number in our family. And I was like, I want to do something a lot bigger this year and fundraise for something a lot bigger. And my parents used to be wish granters for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, this is giving back to youth, and you guys are already connected to this. So this seems like a great opportunity to really just focus on this. Yeah. I had already committed and told people that I was going to fundraise. And then I looked up how much it would cost to grant a wish in Maine, because that's where I'm originally from. Yeah. And it was $7,000. And so I was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 14.
Challenge accepted.
I didn't have a job.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't know how I was going to raise this money by myself.
Yeah.
And that's when my mom was like, maybe just reach out to your friends and see if they want to help get involved. Mm-hmm. So we all encouraged each other. There's 12 of us. And I was like, what are things that you guys are already really passionate about, that you already love doing, and how can we turn those into micro fundraisers? So some of my friends ran 5Ks and wrote fundraising letters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My friend and I, we wrote a song and sold it on Bandcamp. We recorded it in his basement.
That's amazing.
And then others designed t-shirts and sold those designs. Some did bake sales. So it was really just saying what are the things that give us life that we really enjoy doing, that we're passionate about, and let's just use those things to give back to the community. And during that time, I was attending a church, and I was pretty involved with their youth group. And it was the youth pastor who actually discouraged my friends from getting involved. And we didn't know, we still don't know why. But he was very belittling of my gifts. And he, like I said, discouraged my friends from getting involved.
So sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just one of those weird times, because I was like, we're supposed to be extending love in these spaces, and we're supposed to be uplifting youth in these spaces. And the fact that you're not doing that is really discouraging and disheartening. And so with all this stuff happening all at the same time, I was like, I never want another youth to feel this way, and I never want youth to feel like they have to let go of their dreams and passions because adults talked out to them, or people talked out to them in general. Mm-hmm. So over the course of 6 months, we finished raising the $7,000.
That's amazing.
Which is so
That's
cool.
so much money.
Yeah.
For 14 and 15-year-olds.
Yeah. It was honestly amazing. And then because of that experience with the youth pastor, there was another leader in my life who, because I was a songwriter, I'm still a songwriter, but I attended a songwriting camp for 3 years, and during one of those last years, I played a song about suicide, and it was pretty dark, but it was based on genuine experiences, and it was a storytelling aspect to that. And the person that was running the camp, in charge of the camp, she told me that my song would never be good enough to be on the radio. So you have all these things, especially at such a young age, where you already are trying to hold
and
on
you're
to
writing
belief
from
in
your
yourself.
heart.
Exactly. Yeah. So all these things were happening all at the same time, where you had these adults who were telling me that I couldn't do these things and I wasn't talented enough to pursue
And nobody
passions.
else should participate and help you either.
Exactly.
Wow.
Right. And then on the other side, I was seeing my friends get involved and see that like they have something to contribute and them feel empowered because of these things. And that's when I was like, I want to create a space where we can understand that we're leaders of today and we're not leaders of tomorrow. Can't be leaders of tomorrow, but you can take action today.
Absolutely. Empower now.
Exactly. Exactly.
And great ideas.
Right. I know. And it was just a collaborative effort. And so that's kind of where the Change Youth Initiative idea came about. But that led to 3 years of creating fundraising packets and getting kids from ages 5 to 17 over the entire U.S. to fundraise for different organizations that we partner with and raise over $50,000 for different organizations.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I think that one thing I hear over and over again as a therapist is, you know, people want to make a difference, but it just feels so hard and they feel so powerless, you know, and to know that like maybe we can't raise $50,000 by ourselves, but if we do our little part. And I love the fact that like for your birthday fundraiser, everybody did something that they felt they had the skill or the talent or the interest in doing rather than just finding an adult who could like give them that money. They made it, they earned it. And what a sense of like pride and power they can have through that. So why mental health? Because that's what you focus on.
Yep. So we lived in an RV in 2019. So
which is amazing.
Which is so cool. We did it for almost a year, so 11 months.
And it was four siblings and 2 parents.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then our dog.
And your dog? What kind of dog?
She's a black lab.
Okay. So not like a tiny dog.
No.
Okay.
No. But she was the run of her litter, so she's on the tinier side.
Okay.
Yeah, we rescued
Smaller
her.
big dog.
Yeah, right. She is the sweetest. I love her. But yeah, so when we were like trying to figure out what the fundraising was looking like, that was in the 3 years. So it was 2016 to the beginning of 2019 was when we were focusing on the fundraising efforts and the fundraising packets. During that time, my dad was working for the DOJ, and he had a coworker who lost a son to suicide. And so during this time,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was really heavy because also my brother was struggling with depression and suicidal ideation around the same time. And so it was one of those things where my parents had a conversation and they were like, we obviously don't want this to be Braden's story, and we want to do our best to just support him however we can. And so for us, that looked like my dad quitting his job and selling our house.
Wow.
Buying an RV without even looking at it. And just taking the nonprofit on the road.
Wow.
And that's what we did.
Had you guys ever RV'd before?
No. And we've never been camping before. I've done camping with like my Girl Scouts crew, but that was when I was little. Yeah. So it was just a very different experience.
Yes, it was. Yeah, so bold. Okay.
Yeah. It was just taking those drastic measures. I mean, I don't recommend that. That's not everyone's story. Like, that's not for everyone. But for our family, that made the most sense. Just to get out of the environment that we were in. Because there were a lot of people that just didn't understand the mental health conversation. We grew up in a pretty conservative area, and a lot of the mental health conversation, there was so much stigma tied around it. Like no one really knew how to have that conversation. And when a lot of our church community at the time knew that Braden started struggling, it was kind of like the distance of it a little while.
Just and you can feel that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which for someone who's already struggling and feeling depressed and, you know, having these challenges, the last thing you need to do is feel like rejected or judged.
Right. Exactly. So that's when we kind of just said, let's just go. And we did the RV thing, and that was the beginning of April 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had our very first show. So we wanted to still fundraise. We partnered with Make-A-Wish Foundation in the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast. And we had our very first fundraising show for them in May, and that was in Austin, Texas. And that's when I would normally do like my thing of 45-minute set where I'd sing songs that I'd written about. And this is before me and Braden started working together and songwriting together.
Okay. So you're just up there with your guitar.
Yes. Yeah. And Braden does some like background music too to like accompany it at the time. And during my set, Braden like leaned over to me. He's like, I think I want to share my story. for the first time. And I was kind of just like, okay, this is during the set. People are already like listening to us right now. Yeah. And I was like, okay, just if you feel like this is what you're supposed to do, then go ahead and do it. Wow. And so he did that, and he sang a song that he had written called Conscience, about his own story of struggling with mental health. And after that show, there was a middle school student that came up to me, and she said that she was just encouraged by Braden sharing his story because she was recognized that she wasn't alone in what she was struggling with.
Wow.
And we heard from the event coordinator and the organizer beforehand that there was a student who had attempted suicide 2 weeks prior to that show. Mm-hmm. And that I ended up finding out that that was that student that came up to me afterward. Yeah. And so, of course, we like left after talking with students who wanted to talk with us after, because like it's, I don't know, as a performer, I love the aspect of performing and being able to share these songs and storytell, but it's the connection with people afterwards that really just grounds you and is like, okay, this is why I do what I do. This is the reason why we continue doing this, no matter how difficult it gets. But we stayed up to like 1 a.m. back at the RV just talking about what this means, because we can't just ignore the fact that mental health is something that's important to talk about. So how can we do our best as individuals that we have a platform with Be the Change to talk about these things? And so that led us to staying on the road, because we were only planning on doing it for a couple months and then maybe going back. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
But we were like, let's just see where this takes us. And so we ended up going and traveling to 42 states.
Wow.
Yeah. And my mom had like Facebook friends through a fair trade business that she was working for at a time. And she would just like, you know, make posts saying, hey, we're going to be in this state this day and this state this day. Like, who wants to talk about mental health? And that lended to also talking about different social issues and the importance of how like mental health can be really impacted by things that are happening in our lives, like every single day. And so, yeah, it was just a wild time. But that's kind of how we decided we need to take a more mental health aspect.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Well, it was true for your family. And I think so many times it's tempting to talk about talking about mental health. You talk about it, you know, share your feelings. We need to talk about mental health more. You're just talking about it. You're not actually talking about mental health. So when people are in a place where they actually can share their story and create, like, normalize that and model it, I think it just, you know, actually does the thing that we really want to do. Yeah. So I love too that like you're able to kind of create spaces where you're using your songwriting and your music as well, because some people won't go to hear someone talk about mental health. They'll go for the music, or vice versa. And it just gives some anonymity, I feel like, to the crowd.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I have a friend who's a psychology professor, and when they talk about things like, you know, suicide or mental health, she puts up the hotline number. Everybody has to take a picture of it. Everybody has to scan the QR code, because maybe there's one person in the class who needs it, but they're not going to lift their phone if no one else is lifting theirs. So everybody does it. So I think like doing it through the arts is so beautiful, because nobody has to say, I'm here to talk about my depression, unless they want to. So it gives so much agency.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's kind of the dream for Be the Change?
Oh gosh. I mean, we've been in Chattanooga for 4 years now, and we were in Chattanooga because of COVID. So the last stop that we had in the RV was Nashville. It was too expensive to stay in Nashville, so we drove up to Raccoon Mountain. And that's where we landed. We were here February 2020.
Oh my goodness.
And then everything shut down.
Right.
We were like, we can't travel anymore because it's not safe to travel. So what are we going to do? So we've been here ever since. We thought we'd leave once things opened up again. But we ended up, like, my brother and I were itching to play open mics and just do music, because we had been doing it in the RV, and we're like, we just want to continue doing this. And so once we started building a community here, we didn't want to leave, because the people in chat, they
love you.
It's been really amazing. Like, you just find the right people. Be Caffeinated. They've been massive supporters.
We're repping today. We don't have the sleeve, but this is Be Caffeinated. Yes.
I love Be Caffeinated, and the guys over there, they have been so supportive and connected us to so many nonprofits and so many people that are in our community now. And so we've, over the last 4 years, have just said, like, what are ways that we can incorporate youth, creatives, nonprofits, small businesses together. And we have different initiatives like working an after-school program to bring art to students and creating scholarships through an art auction that we have for students to participate in expensive art classes. And we also have house show initiatives to fundraise for different nonprofit partners that we have.
So tell the listeners what a house show is, because if you're listening, and you don't even have to be in Chattanooga, because we're going to talk about in a little while how you're spreading to other areas. But tell listeners what a house show is, because you may want to host.
So a house show is basically the host opening up their home. It could be in a living room space, on a porch, having musicians come and play like a 30, 45-minute set. And for us, what we've turned it into is like a little benefit show. So we invite people, or you invite people to come to your house, and we fundraise for a different nonprofit that we're partnering with. And the money goes back to that nonprofit. And then for us also is Be the Change Youth Initiative. That way we continue the work that we're doing. But the house show idea is just so intimate, and I've always loved it because you get to connect with people. It's not like a typical like concert or show, but you can stay for as long as you want afterwards, as long as the host like really allows that. Because people want to talk. Like I love just connecting with people. It's one of my favorite things about what I do. And we're always trying to find ways to give back. So that's our way as musicians, being able to give back through the nonprofit.
I love that. And then people donate at the house show I love this so much. That's so wonderful. So we have the after school, we have the house shows. What other initiatives do you have in the scholarships as well? I love that.
We have a Be Kind initiative. So we partner with Be Caffeinated, and we take their coffee sleeves into schools. My brother and I will do like a 30-minute presentation. We'll sing like 3 songs, talk about the start of Be the Change, encouraging them, and then have like a call to action afterwards where we say to the students, on your worst days, like what are things that you want to be reminded of, and how can you take those messages and just write it on a coffee sleeve? That way we can use that to encourage other people in the community. So they're making even a small tangible difference, but it's talking about the importance of spreading kind words and how that's not, a cliche thing to do. A lot of us think it's be kind. That's a cliche thing to say, but it's not. It goes so far. Like you never know.
For you and the other person.
Exactly. So that's something that we do. We have a holiday toy drive. So we, over the holidays, do like miniature benefit shows, and we fundraise to give toys to CGLA and the Montessori School in Highland Park. And then also Partnerships FCA, we partner with them, and then Chattanooga Room in the Inn, just because we know that we want to give back in some capacity, especially over the holidays, because there are some families that can't provide presents for their kids. And so we want to be able to do that and see our youth in that way and give back in that way. And that idea actually came from one of our Be the Change Collective artists. So Be the Change Collective is a group of musicians that we've met over the last like several years of living here who want to give back through the nonprofit as well. So being able to donate time or volunteer their time, or us being able to pay them to do that. Because a lot of nonprofits, they can't pay for musicians, and they don't have the money to do that. So part of what we want to do is make sure that if the musicians are donating their time, we're actually able to pay them like $100 an hour for their time.
That's amazing. So you do that through Be the Change. That's amazing. So then you're giving access to resources for these organizations and really publicity, because so we saw each other a couple days ago. We're recording this in May. It'll be, and you're probably seeing this maybe in August. But we were just at a mental health event for men in Miller Park. And, I've been in Chattanooga probably like 7.5 years now. And there were organizations there that I wasn't familiar with. And I feel like I'm pretty, active in the community. And so I feel like there's, when you're able to kind of like partner with them, you're elevating them too. There's so many people who want to help, and they just don't know how or where, and whether it's their talents or their time or their money. Some people want to give and they just don't know where to give to.
And it's been really neat, because I feel like so much of this too, I mean, being in the music industry, also the nonprofit industry, there's a lot of competition. And I think what we're trying to do is like, we're finding the like-minded people in both of those spaces that are like it's all about collaboration and uplifting one another and supporting each
There's
other.
enough room.
There's enough room.
There's enough fame.
I've let
There's
go of
enough,
the scarcity mindset. And there's always going to be more opportunities to do the same thing.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's been really neat to really push into that and find the people that are like, no, we get it. And we understand the importance of uplifting one another and encouraging other people and supporting the community at the same time. And it's been really cool to see.
Well, you're giving, it sounds like, the musicians connection too, because, you know, our children have played instruments and done all the, you know, seating auditions and all the, you know, all those things. And it's just like, man, you know, from a young age, we really kind of pit people against each other. And, you know, so if, you know, my kids are older now, but, you know, navigating when they're little, like, how can they participate in these fun activities that some people get really competitive in and remain kind and remain focused on what is the most important thing. And I think we see that in sports, you know, and all these places where there's so much competition, which, you know, that's fine. Yeah. But also, you know, there's always a person on the other side of that thing that you want. Mm-hmm. So maybe like not at any cost. And so it's lovely that they have a place to give, but then also to receive and to have that friendship. Yeah. That sounds really lovely.
It has been so great.
So what are some of the challenges that you face in kind of getting to, it sounds like you would love to see this grow. So you have the partnerships here in Chattanooga. Mm-hmm. We were talking before the beginning about Huntsville.
Yeah.
Huntsville's the next one. Yep. Yeah. But it sounds like you really kind of want to replicate this. Yeah. You've done so much national work, but like you want to actually kind of put like boots on the ground in these places.
Yeah. It's, that's kind of always been the vision, is being able to find people in different cities and communities to say that, kind of show them like, this is what we've done, and it's taken a long time to get us to this place where we've built this community and we're encouraging other people to take action. But it's like, at some point, I don't want to have to be the face of this anymore. I want other people in their communities to take what we've created for Be the Change and replicate it in their own communities. Because at the end of the day, it's like, we're better together. Also another cliche thing to say, but genuinely, like,
it's true.
The work gets done when a lot of people see the vision and are willing to do what it takes to get that vision done.
Their community needs their community.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I think the big whole goal would be finding people in those individual cities in the U.S., all states, to be able to say, like, let's replicate these things and encourage the people in our community to say, like, things can be done differently. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be done a similar way.
Sure.
It can be done
this way. Is what can happen.
It can happen. Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys would be looking for, like, musicians and artists and business owners and other nonprofits and organizations that you could, like, knit together that network. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you're listening and you're thinking.
Exactly. Honestly. The short-term goal is for me and Braden. Huntsville is the first place we're able to replicate this, where we're going as musicians, as the band that we're under, and we're doing the house shows and we're doing the fundraising packets and we're finding a nonprofit. The goal, hopefully, within the next 5-10 years, hopefully 5, crossing fingers, would be to find a nonprofit in each 50 states.
I love it.
And when we go and do shows there, different house shows or different events, bigger shows, that proceeds from what we raise from the show would go towards that nonprofit.
I love it.
Because we always want to give back. Like, because at the end of the day, so what's the point if everything's self-serving? Like, and you're not giving back in some capacity. Yeah. You're not helping someone else. So I think that's always been ingrained in us. And so with every decision that we make moving forward with the nonprofit, with music,
are we helping?
Are we helping someone else? Are we doing it?
So we had Rabbi Lewis. I don't know if you know Rabbi Craig Lewis
here
in town. Okay. Also, like, just side note, his wife is an artist. So, like, art artist. Yeah. I don't know much about art, but anyways, that's a side plug. We'll take that conversation off air. But one thing that, like, really struck me about his interview, he does a lot of advocacy work as well. And we were talking about his work, especially with the LGBTQIA plus communities and things like that. And, you know, one thing he said was, I just always wonder if I'm doing enough. So he's, like, describing this wonderful work that he does and, you know, being like, yeah, but I could have, like, done just one more thing, or I wonder if I just could have said one more thing, you know. And so, you know, how do you balance that, like, hunger for helping with, like, sitting in contentment and feeling like, okay, we were doing good work. We want to do more, but we're doing good work. So I think that's a struggle that a lot of us have in advocacy work. And, we don't want to burn out, but the need is so big.
Right. I'm probably the worst person to ask about it. Just because this has been the ongoing conversation. I mean, I've started this work since I was 14. Like, this has always been a big part of my life.
I mean, you're coming up on like 9 years.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
8, 9 years. Yep. It's been a long time. And I'm always talking to people in my community. They're like, you don't want to burn out, because I've experienced that before several times, and it's the worst thing. It's horrible, because you feel like I just want to give so much of myself, and I want to be able to give back, but I also know that I need to take care of myself. And so I'm getting those reminders from my friends all the time, which is great.
I think it's a work in progress.
It is 100% a work in progress. It's something that I have to be daily mindful of, like all the time. Making sure that I even just spend like 5-10 minutes, whether it's meditating or journaling. I journal a lot. That's kind of how I express myself. And whether that comes into like poem form or song form, it's always just a way to kind of like ground myself at the end of the day. Gratitude is something that's big too. Focusing on the things that I am thankful for, the things that I've already done, like kind of recognizing that I've already helped a lot of people, and it's been a team effort, and what we've done is so beautiful. And I know there's a lot more work that can be done, but I need to also remember that in order to further this message and further this cause, I also have to take care of myself. I have to, right, exactly. And I've been in survival mode for the entire time. Not so much thriving, but...
Well, I think building is like a hard thing to do sustainably. Yeah. And you built this thing in Chattanooga. And I think that, when we build one piece of the big puzzle that we want, then we're just thinking about the next puzzle piece. And so, yeah. So it's a process.
It is a process.
And I think, one thing I tell my clients that are engaged in advocacy work is we just don't want to break our hammer. When you're chipping away, whether it's societal norms or, sexism or racism or, all these different things that are so difficult in society and affect so many, it can get tiring. And so we just have to like make sure that, see every chip that falls. Every chip as you're hammering away is important. And it's okay to like rest for a moment too.
Right. That extending grace to yourself is something I've learned, especially. It's been a rough process of learning that, and it's been a growing process for sure. But I think I've only started to really get that this last year, is like, don't be so hard on yourself, because I'm my worst critic. It's ingrained in me. Like, it's, and sometimes to a detriment. Like, there are days when I don't want to get out of bed because I'm so overwhelmed by the weight of the world, and I put a lot of that weight on my shoulders, and I'm like, what can I do? Like, and I forget, it's like, you have a team of people. There are a bunch of people that want to continue this work. So how can you learn to just continue loving and extending grace to yourself and recognizing that as one person you can't do it,
right?
But it's just about partnering with people and finding that community that see you and love you and want to support you. And then it's all just supporting one another to continue just advocating for what we want to advocate for. So that's been really cool.
So what do you think caused, you mentioned it's shifted in the last year. What do you think kind of has helped you to have that shift of, maybe it's not complete, because we're never complete in like grace and, working on our perfectionism, but that, what do you think helped you to kind of like think about that more and give yourself permission?
Right. I hit a really low mental health point the fall of last year. And I think because I had that experience and like really experienced burnout for the first time, that's when I was like, I don't want to let this happen, and I got to take a little bit more action in order to make sure that I put systems in place in my own life to take care of myself. And I recognized that in order to further the message and further the work, it's like you also have to prioritize rest and take rest for yourself.
Your mental health too.
Right, exactly. Yes, exactly.
It's so hard to rest from good things, like if it was something like that was bad or like didn't matter.
Right. Yeah. And as like a mental health advocate, my friend gives me crap all the time. She's like, you don't want to be a hypocrite because you're a mental health advocate and you're advocating for other people to protect and like focus on their mental health while you're drowning, trying to really further other people's mental health. And I'm like, no, you're right. Like, genuinely, you're right. And I don't want to be a hypocrite. Like, I want to be able to, you know, hold on to the things I'm saying to other people and actually believe that for myself. But I mean, it's a daily practice.
Absolutely.
And I'm getting...
Well, and no one lives there.
Oh my gosh.
No one lives 100% in wellness.
What is that like if you do?
I don't know. I would not be able to comment on that. But I think that, you know, I think it's even, our messages become more powerful when we're like, you know, I have to take care of myself and I get anxious sometimes, or I get overwhelmed and tired. And, you know, when we have that vulnerability and authenticity in healthy ways, you know, I think it's so good for our work because, you know, I think we can get perfectionist in our gracefulness or in our self-care too, and be like, if I was doing this right, I would never be burnt out. Or if I was doing this right, I would never have bad days or anxiousness or, you know, whatever it is. And that's just not true. Right. Like, nobody lives in their health practices 100% of the time. We just know what works, so we know what to go back to when life kind of knocks us out of our routines. And so I think part of it's normalizing that too, of just like, you know, the more you're doing, then the more it's easy to get caught up. And as long as you have some people mirrors, and it sounds like you do.
Yes, I do.
Whether you want them all the time at the time they comment or not.
Yes.
But but that's how all of us get through life, is together.
Yeah.
You know, whether we're working together or sitting together or like living life together. So I love that you had that. So what needs, if someone's listening and they're like, oh man, I don't know how to do community activism, or I don't have a house big enough for a house, you know, show, but I want to get, you know, involved. Where can they, what's the name of the band, website, all the things, how can they find you, and what can just the everyday people do? And maybe there's even youth, you know, that are catching this, that are like, man, I wish I had an opportunity to participate.
Yeah. So for the band, it's In the Company of Wolves. And we have
they're
Instagram.
so good.
Thank you. Yeah. We have Instagram at In the Company of Wolves Indie, and then Spotify, just In the Company of Wolves. For Be the Change Youth Initiative, we have a website. It's BeTheChangeYI.com. And we have an Instagram for that at BeTheChangeYI also. And then if you want to get involved, if you don't have any like resources to help out with the house shows or other things like that, connecting us to someone that does. But then also if you want to just like connect us to other youth also in your life. I mean, I think even just being a big encouragement to say, because we have resources, like we have, whether it's the fundraising packets or other things like that, if you want to invite us to a school, all the information to like connect you to those different things is on the website.
I love that.
Yeah.
So organized. It's so easy. It's so easy to get involved.
It's so easy. We have like volunteer forms if you want to be a volunteer for something over the next like several months. It's all up to you, but everything's on our website if you want to get involved.
Yeah. So if there are any youth or parents of youth, people, you know, associated in youth work, whatever, listening, what would be a message that you would want them to walk away with today?
If you are a youth, please recognize that no matter what people say to you, you have so much worth and value, and you have something to give and contribute in order to make the world a better place and to see value in yourself. I think when it comes to, that's why we started with the gifts and talents aspect, because when you give students and youth an opportunity to say that I already love something and I can use this to help other people, that benefits their mental health. And we've seen that happen over and over and over again.
Well, and the research shows that when we're helping other people, it does benefit, you know, our level of happiness and well-being.
Yeah. So for youth, just know that you have something to contribute and your worth is there. And
it's needed.
It's so needed. It's so needed. If you're an adult, don't forget to encourage the youth in your life. Like, even if it is just a little bit, like whether it's a text or you just say something, like never be demeaning and give youth the opportunities to lead. Because I feel like so much of the time, at least with adults that I've like talked with, not everyone's like this, but especially like within the older communities, there's a lot of shame tied to being a youth, whether like it's calling us lazy or saying that we're gonna only be able to make a difference when we hit a certain age or when we become adults. But if you give youth the opportunity to say like, here's a leadership role, step into it,
I'll help you.
Like,
Yeah, I'll mentor you.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like something clicks and they really see like, you see me as someone that can actually contribute something and to make a difference. And that's what pushes them forward. Like so many of the adults that gave me those roles in my life and gave me those opportunities, that's why I'm here today. Like
They called it out in you.
Exactly. They did. And that pushed me in the right direction to see value in myself and see what I could do in order to like create a difference. So I think those two things are the most important. They're
I
so
love
important.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that, maybe if we take a moment to, I think you bring out a good point, take a moment to think about like what's pushing older adults' negative perspective of, younger generations. And if it's tied into shame or, embarrassment over their own experiences, maybe that's the work that, can also be done because, we deserve wellness and health at every level. And sometimes our biases can like tell us a lot about some work that, we deserve to do. I always say, I think this generation of young adults and teenagers is the smartest. They're the best. They're willing to talk about mental health, but they also want action. I think they're so much better at critical thinking than I was at that age. They'll do anything if you can explain to them why.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was that curious about whys at that age. And so I'm like, man, I don't know what everybody else is saying, but I think they're better than us, like us older people. So it's your world. I'm just living in it. So, well, thank you so much for being here today, Sydney.
Thanks for having me. This is so great.
I am so excited to learn more, to support you guys. I want to encourage all the listeners to think about how you can support, whether it's supporting the young people in your life and pointing them towards resources, getting involved. They are asking for community partners. And most of the people who live in Chattanooga know people who don't live in Chattanooga. And so, let's see this grow. So thank you again for joining us on How Would You Rate Your Pain? Thank you to Sydney. If you're listening and some of the things that we shared today made you think about your own story or someone you love's story, reminding you to take space for those stories. You deserve all the support. Be gentle with yourself, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to How Would You Rate Your Pain? Please subscribe on your favorite listening platform so you never miss an episode. And if this show made you think of someone, please share it with them to help us grow. I'm your host, Dr. Tiffany Bartell. You can find me on Instagram at the_happy_therapist_. This show is not intended as medical advice and should not take the place of therapy or other mental health services. Please consult with your doctor or mental health provider about your own health. You deserve all the support. How Would You Rate Your Pain is co-produced by WaveLength Studios and Chattanooga Podcast Studios and is part of the Podnooga Network. Graphic design provided by Josh Wilhem at JW Creates and music by Michael Crosa. I'm Dr. Tiffany Bartell. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time right here on How Would You Rate Your Pain?